Hi, in this video we're going to make a card using the Daisies Medley from the new collection from Film Marketing. And these are A6 in size. I've already popped onto my stamp press, my stamp, and I've got a piece of Sentimentally Yours super smooth watercolour cards. This is hot press card, so it's perfect for stamping on. And I'm going to ink up my stamp with Nocturne Versafine Clair. You can just use a normal acrylic block, but I find, especially with big stamps like this, that a stamp press is a really useful tool. And I'm using the Hampton Arts one, the smaller one. Give it a really good inking with Nocturne Versafine Clair, which is available on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk, as is the stamp. Give it a good press, and I've just used an A6 piece of card, so you can see that the stamp works perfectly on that, and it will give us a little border as well. Make sure everything's pressed. Normally I miss at least one part of it when I do this, which is why the stamp press is perfect. Let's have a look at it. Looks pretty good to me. Really pretty stamp. So I'm going to take that out of there. I'll put this to one side. And I do have one that is nice and dry, so I stamped this yesterday because the Nocturne takes a little bit, the Versafine Clair takes a little bit of a while to dry, and I do actually prefer to work on dry ink. So we're going to create a background. Now you could do this in two different ways. You could actually create the background first and then stamp, or vice versa. But what I've done is I've actually stamped loads of these out, so I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. Now I'm using the blending mat. This is the 9x9 blending mat for Sentimentally Yours. And if you're wondering what all this is here, this is on the other side. I've got some of the watercolour blending brush pens, and I haven't cleaned them off because I can just reactivate them with water if I want to colour in. So we're going to work on this side for now, for my background. So I'm using the new watercolour blending brush pens set 4. So this is your set 4. Really lovely colours in this. There's no duplications across all of the sets 1 to 4 in the colours. And the this one comes with a very fine nib water brush, which I haven't peeled up yet. And also we've got this sort of wide pointy one as well. So all of the sets have different watercolour brush pens, water brushes in actually. So these are the colours that you're getting in set 4. Just scribbled onto some watercolour card. Lots of really nice greens in this one, and really nice rich red. So really good for your Christmas cards. You've also got a few colours that you could use in your skin tones as well. So I recommend that you actually do yourself a swatch, and then you know which set you're looking at. You may, of course, want to rearrange if you've got sets 1 to 4 into the nice colour families. And you do actually get, in set 4, you do actually get some stickers which show you all the colours across all the different ones. So if you want to sort them out, you can. Right, so I'm going to use, for my background, these two colours here. So I tend to keep mine, once I've decided what order I want them in, then I tend to follow the order of my swatch, otherwise your swatch isn't much use really. So they look like that. So we're just going to do one at a time on our background to begin with. So for my background, all I'm going to do is just scribble some of the pen onto my mat. Put that back in the right place and just mist with some water, and take my card and I'm just dipping it in, because that way I get a border started which is quite nice. I mean, obviously you can ink around the edges, so tattered rose would go very well with this, with an oxide. But we're also moving the ink around as well. So now we can dip into the background and pick up some colour. I don't want to go everywhere, I just want a really pale, subtle background. I think that'll do with that colour. Now, ideally we want this dry, so I'm just going to dry this. I'll come back in a minute. So the background's all dry now, so we're going to add a second colour. So we're going to go for the orange now. Do exactly the same thing. And mix that with water again. And again, do exactly the same. So then we're going to pick up some of the orange onto our border too. Okay. And then we'll dip the right side in. Just have a little bit more down there. And you will find that you've probably disturbed some of the first colour, but because you've dried it in between, then you're going to get a divide. So we can see we've got pink here and we've got the orange there. To one side, turn off. I do have one that I have already done and dried earlier, and this one's got a bit of a bonus of a little bit of mister just here, a bit of spray, as misters go everywhere, but I don't mind that. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of colouring in. I think I'm going to go for the pink, and we're just going to add some directly to the daisy. And again, you'll probably move a little bit of the colour underneath, but because it's such a pale colour underneath, it's going to be absolutely fine. So if you want darker colours, go for darker colours. The more water you add, the lighter the colours are going to be. I'll just do this one. You can do the rest off camera. I'm going to use the water brush from set 2, which is a little bit wider. Make sure it's going nicely. And then pull the colour out a little bit. See, it's very pale, so I'd probably apply a couple of coats of this one. So it goes on quite dark, but once you pull the colour out, you can really lighten it. Don't worry about it being absolutely perfect, because you've got that watercolour background going on, so it doesn't actually matter too much if you go outside the lines, which is a win-win situation. So you can see where we're going. So I'll carry on colouring this in, and I'll come back to you when it's all complete. Right, so I've done all my colouring in. I've only used 5 pens from the set, so I've used the orange and the sort of pinky colour from that I used on the background. Use those two. And then the green I've used is this kind of moss green. And then I've used the 2 really pale yellows on the honeycomb and the centres of the flowers and on the bees too. Tiny little bit of brown on the butterfly. They're all from set 4, and I've around the edges I've just run my scissors and created a bit of a shaggy edge, and I'm just going to ink around the edges with tattered rose just to give it a border. And I'm using one of the Woodware applicator tools, which is available on my website. And it's a very pale colour, but it's just going to finish off the edges nicely. tie in those shaggy edges. I might add a bit of brush corduroy or vintage photo just on the very edges as well. Not made my mind up yet. And of course I'll mat this onto black as well. Bits of paper on my pad, I can easily brush those off. Don't worry if it kind of bends up a little bit, that just all adds to the look. It's really cool. Just tidy that up a bit. Now you could, and I was thinking about it, you could add a little bit of the either glossy accents or the Sakura clear glaze pen to the bee's wings, but I'm not going to do that. What we're going to do instead is glaze the whole thing. So I'm going to take my Versamark and I'm just going to press it all over the whole thing, and I'm going to use regular clear embossing powder, but if you wanted to use ultra thick, you could use ultra thick, and this super smooth card will absolutely cope with that. It'll be good. We need a couple of coats, so put that on there to begin with. Grab a sheet of paper and crystal clear embossing powder from Sentimentally Yours. Add that over. And then I'm going to heat set it, so I'll let you have a look when I've finished. So I've heat embossed my card now, and I've actually put 3 coats on. So it's Versamark, then the powder, then heat set, then the Versamark, the powder, heat set, and then a third. I probably could have got away with a second one, but I'd missed a little bit. Just doing 2, but I've missed a little bit. But you can see it's a really glossy tile. I've got an imperfection here where I've obviously got something in my powder. There's a little bit of glitter here and there. And talking of which, if you wanted to, on that 3rd layer, while you're heat setting, you could actually sprinkle some glitter in, and then the glitter would be completely encased. But you can see that's a lovely glossy finish. Really easy technique to do too. Right, so we're going to continue with our card, and I've matted my glazed piece onto a piece of elegant ebony card from Sentimentally Yours, and I've popped some foam tape on it ready for later. And using the watercolour card, in fact I think this is the almond hue. I didn't go for watercolour card for some unknown reason, probably because I changed my mind as to what I was going to do in my background. So this hasn't quite dried as flat as the watercolour card. And I've, in the same way as I did on my image panel, I've just put 2 of the pens on there, the same 2 pens, the pale pink and the pale orange, and we're going to add some background detail. Oh, it's cut with the elegant eyelet squares as well. We're going to add some detail on our background with tattered rose, spun sugar and dried marigold oxides, which I think will go nicely with my colour scheme. So I've got some texture stamps here from Sentimentally Yours. I've got the decorative extras from the life quotes, the extras textures from the life quotes, and also the textural temptations. Not sure which ones I'm going to use yet, but we'll definitely dip into some of them. So let's make a start and see what we're going to go with. I think we're going to go with this one first, which is always a really good one to go for. And they're clear photopolymer stamps. Oh, glue. And I think I need my big block for that one. Just to add a little bit of detail. So, I mean, you could just leave it just inked up, but I think we need a little bit going on here. So I think we'll go for spun sugar for this one. I'm going to give it a little bit of a mist so it stamps a bit better. And we go for the top corner to begin with. My very squeaky desk. Very pale, very light. That's what I want. I don't want my background to take over, because the main focal point is obviously my Daisy Medley topper. Carry on giving this a little bit. Just randomly put one there. Thinking about it, but not really. When you first start on one of these backgrounds, that's probably the hardest point. As you get going, then it comes a little bit easier. And we'll pop one over here. And I may want some down the bottom as well. I know there's supposed to be this rule of 3. I don't think it really matters. You just do whatever you want to do. Okay. I might go for one in the top corner as well. Or not. No, I'll bring something else in there. Now this oxide will just wash off in water, so we can wash that off later. So let's go for a different colour and a different design. Let's go for... Let's go for this one. Let's see what this one looks like. And I think we'll do this one in Tattered Rose. This is again from the Textural Temptations. This is probably, well, I say they're one of my favourite. I love the one that we've just used as well. Not sure how much longer this set's going to be available. Put that one off the top corner up there. Sorry about squeaks. There we go. See how beautiful that is? My image is going to go there, so I don't really need to do much in that area. Although I always change my mind, so quite often I will put it where I say I'm not going to. And then we'll do, I'm going to have a border going across there, so I may well just do those 2 actually. No point stamping for them, we don't need to. And then we'll just wipe this off. Messy stamper. These are the round acrylic blocks from Sentimentally Yours, which are available on my website. And let's have some, because the it's called Floramusica, we're going to go for this notes stamp. So yeah, although Phil's done medleys before, the floral ones are called Floramusica because they've all got flowers on them and they've all got music on them. So dried marigold is the colour we haven't used. So we bring some of this in. Again. And bring some music here. We'll do a bit jaunty angle with that. And we bring in some, let's see, just down here, going off the page. One going off the page at the top, and let's go for one more image just because we can. probably bring in the pink again, because the tattered rose and the dried marigold are, although tattered rose is a pink, it's an orangey pink, so I think we have a bit more pink. And let's go for, it's decisions. This is the hardest thing to do. Let's go for some dots. We're going back to the Textural Temptations again, and we go for some dots. So I already had dots before, so these are bigger dots. You could, of course, bring in some of the parts of the backgrounds that were with the Summer Fashionistas, which would be quite nice as well. See, those are nice, aren't they? I like those. Because these are like polka dots too, but they're just very random. They're like grungy dots. And let's have one across here. We'll lose most of this probably. And border's going to go there. You can always add to your background later on. If you're not happy with it, you can always add to it. Let's have a bit going across there like that. I'm happy with that. That's going to work for me. And we just finally, what we're going to do with this one is, because I edged my distressed panel with tattered rose, I'm going to edge this with tattered rose too. Beautiful pale colour this. If you've not got, I mean, there are still some people who, there's always new people coming into craft, and one of the main things, I suppose, is what you start with when you start. And if people haven't got any distress inks or distress oxides, then it's, what do I start with? Well, obviously start with your favourite colours. There's no point buying loads of purples if you just don't like purple. So start with your favourite colours, but what I would also suggest is if you want to ink around the edges of something, then the lighter colours are easier to start with. So for instance, don't go with like festive berries and wilted violet and walnut stain, things like that, because you're going to probably get lines. But if you start off with the lighter colours, then you're not going to see the lines so much, and so you can build up your confidence with that. Right, let's just have a little bit of a clean up underneath. Obviously we can't see it, but I've definitely got ink on there from my stamping off the edge and from my inking around the edge. And what we need to do is, we're not going to stick that first because we're going to grab our borders. And I've got this border from one of the new ornamental borders. Cannot remember the name of this one actually. She's really bad of me. I should have looked it up before we did it. But it's the ornamental borders. I think it's Loveliest Lacework Borders. That rings the bell to me. And it's going to go kind of there, I think, because that's going to go on there like that. See, it's really coming together already, and stamping that background makes a big difference. Oh, that's upside down. Oh, now that's annoying. Oh, actually, no, it's not. Here we go. It's not upside down at all. I love squares. Squares are really handy. So yeah, so in the set, the die set, all of the ornamentals are like this. You get 4 dies in the set, and they're just shy of 8 inches long. So there's a lot of metal in here. So each set has a blank backer, if you like, and then 3 decorative borders that you can obviously then swap the colours that you've got underneath. So I've just got almond hue and the black here. I'm just going to glue these together. The reason why this is something I always forget, especially when I'm demonstrating, is that I quite often forget to actually glue my border and then add that to my background, and then I find it's very difficult to trim it. I mean, you could of course measure it, which I also do, but it's easier if you stick it and then trim it. Just trying to get some glue here and there. Don't want to bend the edge too much because we're not going to get it right on the edge. And this back finish, it just fits perfectly. Obviously you could just trim a piece of card, but when we come to the there's the deco, delightfully deco border, and the prettiest something or other border. He loves his names, and they've got shapes. There's a scallop and there's like a zigzag to it, so you wouldn't be able to do that on your trimmer. So that's going to go on here. Go the right way up, and just bring this in again, because I don't want it bang in the middle. It's always better to have your border down a little bit. So we're going to glue it about there. I'll probably forget immediately. Keep on knocking my glue over. So this is Sentimentally Yours glue. All the products that you see me use are available on juliawattscrafts.co.uk. Or they were. They might not be now. You know how busy we've been. And I'm going to try and do it so that there's the same amount hanging off each side. And I'm also going to bring in my ruler to check. So it's just over 2. That's just over 2 as well. It's just take it straight, because it drives me nuts if my borders aren't straight. Because by eye it doesn't always work. And I'm just going to trim that off. Let's just use the trimmer actually. Definitely easier to use my trimmer. Okay, so that's all stuck, and now we can add that to our background. So again, I've got the Elegant Ebony card and the Almond Hue card, and we've got foam tape between those 2 layers, and this is the largest die in the Double Deboss Essential Squares. So the eyelet is the largest but one of the eyelets, and you'll find that the eyelets and the double debossed dies in all of the shapes are going to work exactly. The outside cutting edge of all of them are the same across the different die sets. That means you can do your mats and layers very easily. You can cut the same size and just have a different colour card going underneath, just to accentuate your little eyelets. So there we go. And I would normally, normally I would probably just do these layers separately before I did the foam tape. Not the camera again, sorry. To flatten it down, especially as I've used Almond Hue rather than the watercolour card. I would suggest, excuse me, I would suggest at home that you actually do use the watercolour card in the background, because it's going to take the water better. But that's not too bad actually. I mean, the weight of the card is 270 GSM, so it's a really good weight card. So now we're going to go for our image panel. And of course the Sentimentally Yours glue does actually grab really well. Don't forget I've glazed this, so I put 3 or 4 layers of clear embossing powder on top, which has been adhered using the Versamark. See, not that much of our background is showing on that edge, which is fine, because we're going to put our sentiments here. We're all up the right way. So for my sentiments, just put that to one side. I've got some little scraps of card here already, which I've again inked in the same way using the 2 pens that I've used on my original piece. And I'm using the new Trio Fame Essential Sentiments, and we're going to emboss it. Well, I've already done it already, but what you would do is use your anti-static bag, give them a good dust, and then I'll just take one out of here actually, because you can see that there's lots of different ones. You can build your own phrases. So we could have on your special day, we could do with love on your birthday. You know, build up your different sayings, older and wiser, which is quite funny. So in fact, let's have that one. Let's have older or wiser. I'll just show you how they stamp. I need my VersaFine. I need a block as well. Where's my blocks? And the trio frames have got, as it suggests, it's got several frames around the edge, so you can decide how you cut them out. I've tended to actually cut them out exactly as they are because I do love them the way they are. Now, VersaFine Clear, it has got a long open time, so it's perfect for you to add your embossing powder to. And if you want to cut it out straight away, I would suggest you actually emboss it, because it does stay wet for quite a while. I'm just going to add powder to that. Get the right one. It's pure white, don't want that one. I've made that mistake before. Crystal Clear from Sentimentally Yours. Super fine embossing powder. So you could, as soon as it's on, you can leave it and emboss it at some point later on. You don't have to worry about doing it immediately. But these are anti-static powders in an anti-static bag pot. So do make sure that you don't decant them into another pot. You just keep them, putting them back in the same pot, and then you'll get less static. So I've already gone ahead and I have got some that I've already stamped. So I've got Enjoy Your Birthday, and I've actually matted it onto black card as well as so it's like it's got 4 frames if you like, because I've done my matting and layering. So we're going to have Enjoy Your Birthday. There's no flowers on this card because we've got the flowers there, but you could of course do a nice display of flowers just here on the corner if you want to do some die cut flowers as well. That would be lovely. So again, we're just putting little foam pads on the back. We could do them at jaunty angles. If you want to line them up, just look to see how your sentiment is, and just line it up to the you know, this straight is where your sentiment is. It probably isn't at all straight because I'm working around the camera, but of course you can put them in jaunty angles. You can do whatever you like, and this could say wherever you want it to, because you've obviously got lots and lots of different permutations. You can of course run ribbon through these as well, which would be quite nice, or just cut a strip of thin card and use your tweezers to thread. I think that would be rather nice. In fact, I may well do that on another card. So there we go. Enjoy Your Birthday. Then to finish off, all we're going to do is just add a pearl to each corner of my background. So the pearls from Sentimentally Yours don't have adhesive on, but what it does mean is that you probably get more for your money actually. And let's face it, a lot of the self-adhesive pearls don't actually stay where you put them anyway. So what I've got here is Secret Escape, which is a new colour, and that ombre pearls. And I think these will work quite nice because these are green and pink. And of course we've got a little bit of green and we've got sort of the pinks going on. And these, unfortunately, I can't get them from my website. Nobody can. They're available on Hochanda while stocks last, and then Phil has them on his Honeypot Crafts website, but I can't get them unfortunately. I've asked him. So these are going just here, and I tend to put, because we've got like pink and green going on, I tend to put them so like the same colours facing in all the way around. So we've got the green facing in, and I'm using tweezers. These are the Sentimentally Yours tweezers. You get a set of 3 different tweezers, all really useful, and they come with a protective cover as well, which you don't really want to lose. Let's put that one on. It's going to bug me if I'd put them on differently. So there we go. There's an idea of how to use the daisies from the Floramusica collection, the Daisies Medley. So we've used the watercolour blending brush pen set 4 to colour in and create our mopped up background. We've used tattered rose, dried marigold and spun sugar oxides. We've used the trio frame, the essential sentiments. We've used the loveliest lacework border dies, the elegant eyelet squares and the double debossed essential squares. We've also used the extra textures and the textural Temptations stamp sets in the background. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and do remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to visit my blog regularly. There's a new post there every morning at 6 AM. Thank you for watching.